memory which we call history. So if we don't know our history as a collective, we then start to fall astray. We then start to lose a sense of the difference between right and wrong. We then start to lose a sense of who are our true friends and who are our enemies, or who are our enemies even posing as our friends. Because we've lost our history, in a sense we've lost our minds, we can't be discerning. We can't work out who is for us and who's against us. And so when we study our history, what we do is we are kind of plugging that gap. You see, the difference is we can study our history and plug the gap. The person with Alzheimer's is, at this stage of history, condemned to having Alzheimer's. They can't cure it, but we can cure it collectively. Yeah. In the sense that we can go and we can study our history, we can make ourselves stronger, we can make our collective memory stronger, and then we can plot a path, having studied our history, to a better future. So we have that capacity. So that was my attempt to make a connection to mental health in the general sense. Yes. The first of the three books that I've got here today, you asked, how were they written, etc., and some background information. Okay, let me take a step back and let me just say this, that these books have been in the writing, if you like, for maybe about the last 20 years. As you know, I'm a political activist. I've been active in the community for many years. And during that time, I've also been studying and documenting. Right. And so the studies, the documentation supported by the activities have not actually saying that anything that I said was incorrect. Yeah. This is an indication straight away. Yeah. Yeah. This is an indication straight away. Well, what's happened is out of that, this book, African People Abolished the Slave Trade. And it says many things in here that the European historians will not say. So for instance, one of these schisms that's created, particularly in the way that Europeans present history, is they say, and my sister Akinsuwa is right here next to me, they say the Africans from home sold us into slavery. And so what they do is they create a scenario for us not to like each other, for us to have a disagreement and an argument between us as brothers and sisters. Yeah. Now, there was some selling of Africans by Africans into slavery. We're not saying that that did not happen, but that was not the only part of the history. Okay? So what they don't tell you about is the times when our people left the village, came to the coast, boarded the ship, raided the ship, killed off all the Europeans on the ship, rescued all the Africans on the ship, and brought them back to the village. Yeah? They don't tell you about that part of the history. But those kinds of things happened all over the West Coast. Yeah? There are examples of that in this book. Yeah? There are examples of where that happened in this book. Places like Old Calabar, which you will know better than me. Yes, yes. You'll know that better than me. Yes, yeah. Yeah? So these parts of the history are not told. Yeah? There are parts of the history, for instance, where when they managed to get us onto the ships, they started to sail the ship over to the Americas. And whilst we were on the ships, we would, rise up and rebel, yeah, and take over the ships, and in some case, sail the ships home. They don't tell us that part of the history, yeah? Some of these stories are in this book here, African People Abolished the Slave Trade. Yeah. Let me just give you an indication of one of the stories. There's a ship by the name of the Thomas. Yeah. The Thomas was a ship which was registered in Bristol, here in England. Right. And in the 1700s, the date escapes me at the moment, I think it was 1758, it came to West Africa and stole people from West Africa. And what they did on this ship is they allowed some of the women to walk freely on top. You know, they like to chain us in the holes and everything, and give us space smaller than a coffin for us to be in, etc., etc. And we have to swim in our own excrement. You understand? It's the kind of, that's the way that we were actually treated. But some of the women were spared that. They were not put down in the hole. They were up above. They could be clean. They could wash themselves, etc., etc. But we have to understand that when imperialism does things which appear nice, it's not for our benefit. It's for theirs. So the role of these women was to be rape fodder for the sailors, the pirates. So they allowed some of our women to walk freely so that they could just rape them whenever they're ready. And of course they allowed them to be clean because it's better from their point of view for them to be clean. Now, what our sisters did is our sisters actually set for them. Yeah, our sisters looked and worked out, what were the shifts that they operate? How many of these wicked sailors do they have on deck at any particular point in time? Which is the period when you have the lowest number on deck? And the sisters worked out that in the middle of the night, only 2 of the wicked sailors were on duty. The rest of them had gone to get sleep. So our sisters set for them. Yeah. And our sisters draped them up and beat them. Yeah. Lick them down, take away the keys. And then our sisters went and incidentally, they had worked out where the guns were and everything, where the keys were, where the guns were. They took away the keys, They went downstairs. They released everybody from downstairs. They went to the armory. All of this is in silence whilst the rest of the crew is sleeping. They went to the armory, opened up their armory, take out the guns and everything, and then they took over the ship, So you can imagine that our sisters were not very happy with these so-called men, these rapists. So naturally, our sisters kill every last one of them dead. Naturally. I mean, they were not happy, you understand? These men, they had earned themselves the distinction of being killed by our sisters. So our sisters just dealt with them, sort them out. But then our sisters realized, everybody realized that nobody knew how to sail the ship. So the ship just bobbed around in the middle of the Atlantic because nobody on that particular ship knew how to sail the ship and to turn it to go back home to Africa. The ship was originally on its way to Barbados. It was recommandeered by another set of pirates, and the people there were re-enslaved in the Bahamas, But the point of that story is to say that there are many examples where we took over the ships. On that particular ship, we didn't know how to sail it back. On another ship, what they did is they killed all of them except one. Somebody put in a good word for one. You understand? So he was allowed to live. So he was the kind of the one out of them that was the most humane. So they allowed him to live. And then they turned the ship round and sailed back to Africa, and made it all the way back to Africa. And then this man, they took a liking to him, so they even brought the man back to the village and allowed him to live in the village, where his descendants are still there to this day. They went back to Calabar. It's Calabar they went to. Yeah. Yeah, but you see, we wouldn't recognize them as his descendants because they'll be African just like the rest of us. Yeah? You understand?
Right,
so there are examples that are not mentioned in the majority of history books, but they're mentioned in African people abolished the slave trade. Yeah. So if you want to know this part of the history, you know, there are clear examples in African people abolished the slave trade. It also looks at some of our victories that happened in the Americas, in the Caribbean and North and South America. The obvious example is the Haitian Revolution. The Haitian Revolution, where 500,000 African women and men fighting together defeated all of the soldiers that were sent from Britain, from France, and from Spain. Now, we didn't just whoop them once. We whooped them twice each. You know, when they get a beating, they don't like it, they come back. So we had to beat them twice each for them to learn their lesson. Yeah? So we gave them some licks. I mean, I could go into the history in detail, but I'm not sure that's necessary, you know, for this occasion. But, you know, there are some things that we should know. Because in this country, they don't tell you about the generals that got whooped. Yeah? They'll tell you about, you know, people like Montgomery. They say Field Marshal Montgomery, he won World War II and all this kind of, you know, all this kind of stuff. And they're talking about Montgomery beat Rommel, you know, the German Field Marshal, and big him up and like he's a superhero. And they put his statue outside 10 Downing Street, you know, those kind of things. Yeah. But they won't tell you about the generals that get whooped. So we must remember the names. If you look inside this book, you'll see the name General Maitland. General Maitland, who had to bow down to Toussaint, and surrender to Toussaint Louverture, the leader of the Haitian Revolution. The other one that had to bow down was called St. Hill, General St. Hill. Because remember, we whooped them not once, but twice. And in the way that C.L.R. James writes the history, for instance, he says that there was one set of battles where we defeated them every day. Seven different defeat we give them, one after the other. Just slapping them up and beating them until they have to run home, you know. So you know, that kind of history is explained in here. I mean, just to give you a sense of how important our victory, our Haitian Revolution victory is, yeah? It took, you know, they keep records of all of their wars, you know, the British Army.
Right, yeah.
Yeah? When they win, you know, they've got a library, they've got all in there. So they send soldiers in there to study the history so that they can come out and tell all kinds of stories about how victorious they were and who's the great soldier here and the great soldier there, who won the George Cross there and all this kind of stuff. Yeah? They got whipped so bad by us as Africans in Haiti that they buried the records. The records remained undiscovered for 100 years. Yeah, they just put it in the deep crevices, and it was just some junior officer that one day, when everybody had forgotten about it, as far as they're concerned, went there and found this documentation of how they got whooped. Because they keep records, even if they're beaten. Yeah? And they couldn't believe it because they had wiped it out from their memory, you understand? And they couldn't believe it. But you know, they lost 100,000 soldiers in Haiti. Think about that. 100,000 soldiers. Yeah? So we gave them the whooping of their life. They've never had a defeat like that before or since. You think about that. Yeah? That's a hiding. Yeah? a complete, total and utter hiding that we gave them. And so we have to remember these things. That information is documented in this book here, African People Abolished the Slave Trade. So it's documented, you know, in this book. But not only did we whoop them in Haiti, Haiti created an environment, yeah? It created an environment where uprisings happened in other islands.
Yeah.
Yeah? Now, in the island of Jamaica, very close to Haiti, yeah? In the island of Jamaica, you had the Maroons. There were 2 Maroon wars, yeah? The Maroons of Jamaica were never defeated. Never defeated. In fact, what happened was the British eventually signed treaties with the Maroons of Jamaica. Yeah, you see, one of the real problems was the Maroons in Jamaica should never have signed the treaty. But they signed a treaty because they didn't understand what was happening. They didn't understand that Haiti was giving the British a hiding. Yeah. After General Maitland and General St. Hill were defeated, they were defeated whilst the Second Maroon War was going on. You know. Yeah. But because in Haiti they speak Creole. Yeah. Yo ka pale lang la mo ka pale a Pweza. Mo ka pale lang la yo te ka pale a Haiti. I just said they speak the language that I'm speaking now. I'm speaking the language that's spoken in Haiti. That's a literal translation of what I said. Though you see that language was not spoken in Jamaica. Yeah. So Africans in Jamaica didn't know what was going on in Haiti, which was not far away. You understand? But if you read the history books, the creature that called himself the governor of Jamaica at the time, yeah, he was writing back to England saying this Haitian revolution is going to ignite the Jamaicans. Yeah, it's going to ignite them, and then we're going to have a real problem here. Yeah, you understand? So they were frightened because the minute the Africans in Jamaica would have learned of the successes that are happening in Haiti and how the British are just getting wiped out. Yeah. Then naturally, everybody would just rise up and take their freedom. Yeah. But the language barrier prevented it. Yeah. But you see, over the Eastern Caribbean, the same language was spoken. And because the same language was spoken, even though the Eastern Caribbean is 1,000 miles away, because the same actual language was spoken. When you go to the island of Guadeloupe, they had a revolution there too. People don't hear about this. This is hidden history. Yeah? We were so successful that we lined them up and chopped off their heads. Now, you see, when you say to the Europeans, yeah, we're chopping off your head at 12 o'clock tomorrow, yeah, and you do it, who's in charge?
You're in charge, yeah.
So we were in charge. So we tell them what time we're chopping off the heads, and we did it. Yeah. And in the island of Guadeloupe, we chopped off 1,200 enslaver heads. We weren't playing. Yeah. Chop off the heads. Yeah. Because the language, we knew what was going on in Haiti. You understand? So in Guadeloupe, they were taking care of business. Yeah. And when they secured Guadeloupe, when Africans took charge of Guadeloupe, then they sent troops south. Yeah. The next island south after Guadeloupe is Dominica. Yeah. In Dominica, they never actually got complete control of the island, but the Africans controlled 2/3 of the island and left. Every European had to run to the south of the island and just wait there. And I suppose it's because we're so gracious that we didn't go there and finish them off. You understand? So we just left them with the bottom third of the island, and we just took charge of all the rest of the island. And for us, that was good enough. We should have taken them completely out of the island, but it's easy to say that with the benefit of hindsight. But the point is that Dominica was two-thirds controlled. Two-thirds controlled by Africans. We ran things and the Europeans had to run and hide. Yeah. The next island south after Dominica is Martinique. Now, I'm not going to speak on Martinique because Martinique has got a slightly different history. It's got a deep loyalty to France. And so the revolution did not really take full shape in Martinique. But if you go south from Martinique, the next island is St. Lucia. In St. Lucia, we took complete control of the island. We chopped off the heads of enslavers on the island in the capital Castries. They've got a square there, which is now called the Derek Walcott Square. Yeah? That's where we did it. We just chop off the heads. Yeah? And took complete control of the island. In the south of the island, the second city is called Soufrière. So chop off the heads in Soufrière as well. Yeah? And took complete control of the island of St. Lucia. Yeah? If you leave St. Lucia, you go south, the next island south is St. Vincent. In St. Vincent, the leader of the, I haven't even mentioned the leaders' names, but it's in the book anyway. Yeah, let me just continue south. So St. Vincent. In St. Vincent, what you have there are the Black Caribs. If you read Ivan van Sertima's book, they came before Columbus, or renamed African presence in early Americas. He explains how Africans left West Africa, went to the Caribbean long before Come Rob Us and all that lot arrived. Yeah, long before then. Yeah, and some of them stayed. Yeah, and they mixed with the American Indians that are there, the Caribs, etc., that were there, and then they became known as the Black Caribs. Okay. Yeah, and the leader of the Black Caribs was his name was Young Chatoyer. Yeah, that's the name of the leader. Under his leadership, they took complete control of the island of St. Vincent. Run the Europeans from the island. You understand? Just took complete control. After St. Vincent, you've got the Grenadines. The beautiful islands, but very small, beautiful islands, and then it's Grenada. Yeah, in Grenada again, we took complete control of the island under the leadership of an African by the name of Julian Fedon. Yeah, chopping off 49 heads in St. George's, the capital. Yeah. Now, there's a summary of this history in this book. Yeah, the African people abolished the slave trade. There's a summary of that history in there. You see, they don't tell us that we not only whoop them, but chop off their heads at will. They don't tell us that part, you understand? And the way they got the islands back in the end, and the reason they got the islands back is, well, it's multifold actually. But one of the key reasons they got the islands back is that you have to pass those islands. If you're sailing from Britain, you have to pass those islands on the way to get to Haiti. Right. Yeah. Those islands had populations of, not more than 5,000 people. We're talking about very small populations at the time. Yeah. Most of whom were African. Some of whom would have been native, Carib Indians, and some of whom would have been European. So very tiny populations. The Britain sent 60,000 troops to go and fight Haiti. Yeah, but on the way they stopped off at these islands. Oh, right. And so they were able to put 10 armed soldiers for every woman, man and child on the island. And that was the way they managed to get some of the islands back. Yeah. That was the way that they got Grenada back, for instance. Yeah. Because they were it was just overwhelming. They couldn't, they couldn't fight 10 to 1. They're armed, we're not. You understand? Yeah. In the case of St. Vincent and St. Lucia, they couldn't even take them back. Yeah. So they signed treaties, negotiated treaties, same as the Maroons in Jamaica, yeah, in order to be able to claim the islands. And then they did the same thing that they did with the Maroons in Jamaica. They sent the Maroons to Nova Scotia in Canada, yeah, So this was the Trelawney Maroons.
Okay.
They sent them to Nova Scotia in Canada. Yeah, and what they did to the brigands, they were called in St. Lucia, they refused to be called Maroons because maroon means to run away. Maroon means to run away.
Oh, that's what Maroons means.
Yeah,
run away. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it means. It means to run away.
Okay.
Yeah, and they said, we're not running away. We're not Maroons. We're going to be called brigands. So that's what they called themselves in St. Lucia. And they negotiated an agreement. The British negotiated an agreement with them. And as part of the agreement, they sent them to the warriors to Honduras, what today's called Belize. They stole a bit of Honduras and called it Belize. Yeah, and sent them there. And those soldiers who were never defeated, the African soldiers who were never defeated, were then turned into the 1st West India Regiment. Yeah? And listen to this. Then they sent the Africans that they couldn't defeat back to Africa in order to fight our people and colonize Africa.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
So you see, strategically, they planned it much better than we did. Yeah? They manipulated us in many ways. They manipulated the Jamaican Maroons, for instance, whereas the Maroons if everybody else on the island had known, they would have just taken over. You understand? They would have just joined with the Maroons, and that would be the end of it. Just chop off their head and finish. You understand? Yeah. But we were in the diplomatic part, in the political part, we were actually outmaneuvered. But that doesn't take away the fact that we fully controlled about half a dozen islands in the Caribbean, which was a serious achievement when you think of, we were under the bondage of enslavement. So this book does many, many, many things. I've just talked about tiny bits of it. I'll talk about one more bit of it. I mean, if you want to ask questions, feel free, but I'll talk about one more thing in here. There are many things in here. But this is the only book in the world, actually, African People Abolish the Slave Trade. It's the only book in the world that will show you how to calculate a reparations figure from an African vantage point. Yeah? Think about that. You see, when the British talk to us in terms of reparations, and they put the little TV programs or whatever it is that they put on, yeah, they say, the reparations will come probably to about $1 billion, is what they say, yeah, or no, sorry, $1 trillion. Is what they say. It's probably about $1 trillion, they say, yeah. It's a damn lie. I've done reparations calculation myself, yeah. And it's set out in this book, yeah. And the figure that I'm going to quote here, yeah. Listen to this. Listen to this. I'll just read it. I'll just read it from the back of this book. British imperialism owes each and every African person in the world a whopping 615 billion, 598 million. 559 billion. Listen to what I said very carefully, yeah. The first installment of reparations, yeah. That is 615 million. I've put it in numbers now. It's in words. 615,598,559 billion pounds each. Yeah. The premises and assumptions, the formula and calculations are openly stated in this book, African People Abolished the Slave Trade. Yeah. Now I'm just going to open up to, let me see, page 240, which is where the process is explained. And it goes on to, let me see, yeah, page 241. Now, the actual figure, first installment, this is not the full reparations figure. This is just the first installment of the reparations figure, is 870, 989, 250 quintillion pounds. What is quintillion?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, let's explain.
Yeah.
Yeah? Now, a million has 6 zeros. A billion has 9 zeros. A trillion has 12 zeros. A quadrillion has 15 zeros. A quintillion has 18 zeros. Yeah? So we're talking about some big money that we're owed, which when you divide it up in between us individually, it comes down to billions, so that we can begin to start to understand the figures that we're actually talking about. And this is just the first installment.
Right.
Yeah? This is not even the full reparations figure. This is just to start. You understand? And in here is included a table, because you know they have to pay on time. And if they don't pay on time, then, you know, interest just has an effect. And if the year 2038 will mark the 200th anniversary of their so-called abolition of slavery. Yeah, and if they don't pay it by then, they will owe. What is it here? 37. Yeah, 37 760 914 064 quintillion.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big number.
Yeah.
Yeah. But everything is set out in here with tables and everything so that people can actually understand it.
Right.
The point is, reparations is more than money. Yeah, it's not just money. We're not just talking about money. Yeah, but money is a part of it, and they've got a bit of a bill to pay. Yeah, and it's about time they started paying. You know, I'm delighted. I was speaking to my sister Akinsua earlier, and she informed me that the Benin bronzes are returning home, or in the process of being returned home. She should know, because that's her personal property. You understand? So she should know. And I don't know if you want to tell the people about this.
Well, history records that it was 500 generation of our royal wealth was stolen. And then, I've observed for the past maybe 15, 20 years, they have been returned, you know, from all over the world. It's not just it's not just in the British Museum, it's in the museum all over the world.
Okay.
In Germany, in America, in Paris, all over the world. But, you know, there's a proverb in Nigeria, in Africa, they say, every day for the thief, one day for the owner.
Say that again.
Every day for the thief, one day for the owner. So the day of the owner is now.
Is now. See. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, as we're kind of touching on this reparations theme, yeah, in 2007, you know, when they claimed it was the 200th anniversary of what they call the abolition of the so-called slave trade, yeah, just a pack of lies that they're pushing out, calling history. Yeah, one of the things that we did is we went and invaded the British Museum. We went there. It's all filmed, and we demanded the return of our wealth, because you see, in the British Museum, they're bold about their theft. Yeah, they're bold. They put labels on it. Yeah, they say we stole this from here, and we stole this from there. You know, we stole this one from here. Yeah, and they got the Benin bronze, and they're bold. They stole this from Benin. You know, bold. You know, They even got, they go there, they steal our ancestors, and bring them and put them in the British Museum. What do you think the mummies are? Those are our ancestors.
See.
They go there, they thief our ancestors, dig up our ancestors from our graves,
Yeah.
and then bring our ancestors over here, and then put them in the British Museum and put a label on it. We stole this from Egypt, they say. Can you imagine what kind of a people would do a thing like that? Go and steal actual ancestors, we're not even talking about the as valuable as the Benin bronzes are, but actually steal your ancestors and bring them over here. What kind of a people are these?
This is why we believe that the energy that is coming, that is now here, is an energy that has come to bring justice. Is an energy that is, because anything that has not been established in truth, because everything is a vibration. So it's the higher vibration that is going to conquer. So that's why I say heaven is coming down, justice.
Yeah, but I just want to come up to the book now. I mean, have you done like a book launch or anything like that, or how long the book's been out now? The book's there.
The book was formally published in 2017, but no, I haven't really gone to town on it. It was the African People Abolished the Slave Trade was published pretty directly as a result of the attack that was launched on us when we went into Parliament 2 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago. So I rushed something out 2 years ago. So that if anybody wants to challenge the facts, they're in the book now. You can look at it and you can get your mail on Sunday or your son or whatever it is. They can go through the book with a fine tooth comb and then they can see what they want to attack in there. I'm happy to debate them on any of the points that are in that book.
No problem. Yeah. So what's your plan with the books then, yourself now? So like now you're looking to obviously get them out now, and have you got like a strategy plan or what's your?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking to work with people who are interested in distributing the books. Yeah. So I'll certainly be, looking to work with people. I mean, if, for instance, SLR was interested, I'd happily work with them. One of the things that happens is the way that books sell is when the author is there to explain the contents, it's more of an encouragement for people to actually buy them. And so I'm happy to work with people to do, events in different places around the country and the world, in fact.
Okay.
In order to promote the book and encourage our people to buy them and to read them.
Okay.
People can help just by simple things like if you go to your library and ask them to order it, for instance, that would be a great help. Certainly in the Tottenham area, Gold Onyx is distributor of the book as things stand at the moment. I'm hoping to develop, other people in the area. I very much hope, for instance, that you would be involved, Brother Dougie, so that it's available locally to people.
Okay.
So we haven't got a fully constructed plan at this stage, but it's a developing one.
Okay then. And do you have like people want to contact you? Got email address or?
Yes. Now the email address to make contact is ukombozi@gmail.com. Let me spell that. UKOMBOZII, Ukombozi.
What does that mean?
Ukombozi is the Swahili word for liberation.
Okay then.
Yeah. So Ukombozi means liberation. Liberation at gmail.com. So
okay.
Ukombozi at gmail.com. That's UKOMBOZII. Ukombozi.
Okay then.
Yeah.
All right,
African style.
What we're gonna do, I'm just gonna have a very short break. You wanna say anything? I thought you wanted to say something, my sister. And then going some reason it.
Everybody experiences struggles.
Work stress, marital stress.
I struggled with depression and anxiety. Our mind is the gateway to both our spirit and our body.
This person should be taking care of their mental state in the same way that you take care of your physical state.
I also sought professional counseling, and one of the things that I learned from my counselors is that it's most important for you to take care of yourself first.
Eating right,
exercise,
yoga, meditation.
It's the rest every day. Get some fresh air. Even if it's just a simple drive out, a simple walk out.
If you're struggling with depression,
you should reach out and seek a professional to help you go through these problems. You don't have to struggle alone.
It's important to take care of your mental health
every day. Every day.
Every day.
Mental health matters.
Alright, today we're going to talk about mental illness in Jamaica. There's a mental illness crisis in Jamaica.
Yes.
Right? So let me read this off first. Alright, so what triggers this? Somebody sent a link and said, please address the mental illness crisis in Jamaica. And I said that we have done this topic before, but I think we need to do it again, since people are asking to do it again. This stems from going through the Star, right? I'm telling them before that the Star is one of my favorite papers out of Jamaica. This story says the elderly woman that was chopped to death by a madman, right? And as the story reads, it says an elderly woman was chopped to death in Falmouth, Trelawney, Usain Bolt placed that, by a man who is said to be of unsound mind. The incident took place Thursday morning near the post office on Market Street, and police reports are that Jocelyn Gomez, 72 years old, who lived at Wakeland Drive, was chopped several times by Damon Williams, a 21-year-old, who is believed to be of unsound mind. Williams has since been taken into custody. Remember the youth where chop up the little girl after him rape her? Mm-hmm. Remember the youth where chop up the little girl after him rape her? He was said to be of unsound mind. He was walking around. People were saying that for days he wasn't looking like himself. He never sounded like himself. Some doctors, they can't really explain, but them have a better explanation than religion.
Yeah, and actually look.
And analyze.
And the thing is,
personality disorder has really three characteristics. The first one is that people constantly are in conflict. They have a great deal of difficulty in resolving.
Greetings, Brother Dougie. Brother Commonwealth, very interesting when you were talking about Africans abolished the slave trade. I want to ask a question about a book I have called The Slave Trade, The History of the Atlantic Slave Trade, 1440 to 1870, by Hugh Thomas. And I know you mentioned about Thomas, a ship called the Thomas as well. I wonder if you're familiar with the book and if it's a good reference to anything that you've been talking about. My brother.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, yeah, I just got the mic. Okay. Can you ask your question again, please, my brother?
Yes, sir. I've got a book called The Slave Trade, The History of the Atlantic Slave Trade, 1440 to 1870, by Hugh Thomas.
Okay.
And it's got a picture of the a boat where it's got all the Africans packed like sardines, that kind of way there, you know?
Yeah.
I wonder if you're familiar with the book. It has the pictures of all the African, all the enslavers and all all the historical kings and queens and stuff like that who was involved. So I wondered if you were familiar with it and if it's a good reference to what you were talking about, the Africans abolished the slave trade book that you're talking about.
Yes. Thank you for your question and comment, my brother.
Yes, sir.
I am not familiar with that book. It's not a book that I have specifically read. All books will have, some value. All books will have some value. Yeah. I'm not in a position to comment specifically on the one that you've just mentioned, except to say that if it has, images in there which depict the horror, the absolute horror of the conditions that our people endured across the Atlantic, it's probably those images are probably correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's probably a useful source, but it's always good to cross-reference. So
if I see you one day, I'll show you the book. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. That would be much appreciated. Maybe we'll be able to have an event where you'll be able to bring your book down, my brother.
Yes, sir. Great. Thank you. Rise up, brother.
Many thanks, my brother. Many thanks.
All right, good thanks for that. Okay, then. I know that, Princess, you want to let people know about is it the meditation you do?
Yes, I facilitate meditation classes every first Sunday of the month in Wood Green Library from 1 until 2, and the session is free. My style of meditation is very high vibrational frequency, which I invoke to help clear any negative energies that we're ready to release. It will help, because this is a time to actually go within, I don't know if you know about the age of Aquarius, the changing of the planetary alignment.
I understand it started in 2011 to 2012.
Well, it kind of, I would say it kicked in even more. It's been happening slowly. You see, because we've entered into a new age now whereby the energies is really bringing people to begin to, address their own emotions, heal themselves. And one of the best ways to do that is through meditation and learning to silence the mind, because the mind by nature is designed to chatter, and only in meditation we learn to allow you to be still, So you are encouraged to come. If you want to contact me to get more information, my telephone number is 07869 1129991. And yes.
Say the number again, please.
07869 1129991. We are at the Wood Green Library every first Sunday of the month. So the next one would be the 3rd of March from 1 to 2. So if you're interested in coming, please come at least 10 minutes early. It's very positive. We're really talking about the power of visualizing. It's very important to master these skills.
I think it's a please don't get it twisted. But what exactly is it he's supposed to go on hold? The fact that he's dying inside and feel like he needs to take his life, that life is just so difficult for him that the only way out for him is to take his own life, or the thought of taking his own life brings some relief to him. What exactly are we saying? And that's one of the things that I think that us as a people don't fully understand it. We don't understand what depression is or what it looks like. When I watched that interview, the first thing that came to my mind was he displayed all the signs of someone who is crying out for help. And I really wish that people didn't just take it as a news article and actually saw it for what it is, that someone here is saying to you, things are going really bad in my life. And they're saying, they're attributing it, or him wanting to take his own life because his career is going bad. Believe me, that is just the trigger. The the fact that he, was even able to say it, he's probably thought about it so many times. So my question to you who are listening to this, would you know what it looks like if someone in your family has depression or is depressed or is about to take their life? Because especially this time of year, statistics have shown that the biggest killer in men outside of Jamaica is suicide. Yeah, the biggest killer of men is suicide outside of gun crime. So that's something to think about. What is going on within the male population that we don't know about, and especially Jamaican male? I mean, we expect our dancehall artists to be larger than life, but what if they're not coping with life? You know what I'm saying? And, I think a lot of people get suicide mixed up. They think that when a person wants to take their life is because they're weak. The person contemplating suicide doesn't actually want to die. They want the pain to stop. And that's the difference. They don't want to die, but that's the only way that they can see a way out.
Researchers estimate that almost 40% of Jamaicans suffer from personality disorders, a type of mental illness, and that depression and schizophrenia are the most common mental illnesses in Jamaica. Unfortunately, many Jamaicans think that mental illness could never affect them or someone they love.
A lot of young people in Jamaica suffer from depression and don't even know it.
Yeah, we can't take it seriously.
We're taught that it's not something that happens to Black people. That's something that happens to Americans or the upper class, people who can afford therapy and them stuff there. There's a stigma. Oh, you mean you're crazy? Oh, you mean you're a mad person? Oh, you mean you need some medicine for that?
Sometimes I have to laugh, I think that's probably the saving grace of Jamaican people, because we're still funny. And a lot of the things we have to laugh. We have to laugh, you know what I mean? Because we have to laugh because it's depressing. It really is. I'm not even trying to exaggerate anything. If you're living here, there are literally things that you have to pretend they're not affecting you in order for you. If you have something that you need to do, if you have to be mentally well to do this thing, you have to pretend all these million other things that are happening don't affect you. Not just your life, but the world, the country and the world in general. You might end up, operating like something that's a little bit not human.
What qualifies me to speak? Well, actually, this is my bread and butter. This is what I do for work. This is what I do for study. This is what I volunteer in. I work with people who are at that point in their life. Okay, so when I see this happening, obviously, if I'm on a platform like YouTube, I have to speak about it. It's my duty. So, what I want people to do is, don't bypass this. If someone is saying this, they actually do mean it. And what can you do? Are there people in your family or around you that, are not themselves? Or are we just passing it off and saying, that's how he's always been? Really? We could probably be doing more. And I think this conversation needs to happen now. It's not just white people, middle-class people that has depression, and we need to know what it looks like. Okay, so that's kind of what I want this video to be about. Would you be able to recognize the signs if somebody in your family was, are at that point in their life, they're at a crossroads, things are going really badly, and that's all they can see, That's what I want people to start thinking about, recognizing the signs and helping someone. And if you're the person who are feeling that way, do you know where you can go and get help and things like that? That's what I want this video to be about. I will leave some links in the description and also at the end of this video that you might find comforting or might help you to get some help if you're the one struggling with this, because it's not easy and people are not always understanding about what's going on with you. So I will leave that there, okay?
It's okay to struggle with mental health problems.
It's not unique to you alone,
Everybody experiences struggles.
Work stress, marital stress.
I struggled with depression and anxiety.
Our mind is the gateway to both our spirit and our body.
And persons should be taking care of their mental state in the same way that you take care of your physical state.
I also sought professional counseling, and one of the things that I learned from my counselors is that it's most important for you to take care of yourself first.
Eating right,
exercise,
yoga, meditation.
It's the rest every day. Getting some fresh air. Even if it's just a simple drive out, a simple walk out.
If you're struggling with depression,
you should reach out and seek a professional to help you go through these problems. You don't have to struggle alone.
It's important to take care of your mental health
every day. Every day.
Every day.
Mental health matters.
Alright, and today we're going to talk about mental illness in Jamaica. There's a mental illness crisis in Jamaica. Yes. Right? So let me read this off first. Alright, so what triggers this? Somebody sent a link and said, please address the mental illness crisis in Jamaica. And I said that we have done this topic before, but I think we need to do it again, since people are asking to do it again. This stems from going through the Star, right? I'm telling you before, so the Star is one of my favorite papers out of Jamaica. This story says the elderly woman that was chopped to death by a madman, right? And as the story reads, it says an elderly woman was chopped to death in Falmouth, Trelawney, Usain Bolt placed that, by a man who is said to be of unsound mind. The incident took place Thursday morning near the post office on Market Street, and police reports are that Jocelyn Gomez, 72 years old, who lived at Wakeland Drive, was chopped several times by Damon Williams, a 21-year-old.
You know, you walked in there, you got a standing ovation.
Yeah.
You're a national treasure.
Oh, gosh.
We're very, very pleased to see you looking as fit and healthy as you do.
Thank you, very kind.
I just want to ask you, what do you now know, because you've come off your medication,
I've been off my medication for about a year and a bit, yeah.
Do you now know
by the doctors, not on my own will, on paper, official.
But what do you now know what to look for in terms of danger signs that you might be going back to those dark days?
Yeah, I do know what to look
what
for.
Are they?
I've got myself a new PA in Carmen. I've got my structure put in place. I've got myself a driver rather than driving myself and coming home at 3 o'clock, getting up in the morning, going to the gym, coming back from the gym, ironing, cooking, doing all sorts of different things and taking the pressure off myself. I've got a structure. I go down to the Champ-Lees most days. Anytime fitness, 24 hours a day, that if I get up and I'm feeling anxious, I can go to the gym and not kill myself. Sometimes as you get more older, you just go and peck and just have a little 40 minutes
channel it.
And channel yourself and get your brain right. I do some yoga, meditation, take my vitamins, eat a little bit more better, and just watch myself and clock myself and talk to myself and look at myself in the mirror and motivate yourself, you know what I mean? Because of what's going on in the world today, with all the crazy rubbish and whatever, you've got to look after yourself because you never know, you may not be here tomorrow, so impress
And I think you couldn't have put it better. Everybody has their own different ways of finding what works for them, and you've obviously found what works for you. We're so thrilled for you.
Thank you very much.
2012, how did you feel when the doorbell rang? You knew there was an ambulance outside and they were going to section you?
Darren, it was one of the most weirdest, the nastiest and the horriblest thing. The doorbell rings, ambulance outside, the police outside, and these so-called doctors supposed to examine you, meet you, shake it, how are you, ask me about 3-4 questions over and over again, and then say you're sectioned. And I thought they were having a laugh, having a dream, but I didn't do nothing. You know what I mean? The only thing I was doing, I was spending a little bit more money than normal and whatever. And they're saying they've got to be sectioned. The doorbell ring, the ambulance outside, and it was horrible, horrible, nasty, very...
Okay, they're just playing recording of Frank Bruno going through his challenge. As you know that he was sectioned, mental health. And if some big like Frank Bruno could go through health challenges, you know. And what's interesting, I haven't played the full recording, but it's on there, where, you know, it's interesting that Frank was complaining that about the drugs he was giving him. He was saying it was too strong. In fact, at one stage, he took the drug, and he actually fell and banged his head, you know. And he was saying to them that it's too strong. He's been complaining to these people, them, you know. So if you could do it to Frank, imagine what you're doing to the ordinary man, them, or woman out there, see? You know, so it just shows you, you know, this is a serious thing when it comes to your thing about health, because, in fact, in the paper, remember, they said that Frank's gone bonkers, right? This is someone who was their darling, you know, heavyweight champion, and he had some challenges. Probably Frank come to people like myself and Omawale, who would have put him straight. We would have said to Frank, listen, man, just focus your mind. You know, you always want to be the, you know, you always want to be the heavyweight champion of the world, and you achieve it. What's next, Frank? Set yourself another goal. You know, the boxing, that's just a temporary thing. It's, you know, but obviously Frank got himself involved, or don't say involved, mind got caught up and all kind of stuff, and he just couldn't deal with certain things, and he just, like anything, just couldn't deal with it. See? But Frank's, you know, as an example, well, you could look at Frank, and, you know, he had his challenge, but he's escaped through it. And he is saying that now, you know, he check himself now, does a bit of yoga, he watch what he eats, you know, if he feels a bit anxious, he goes in the gym, doesn't go crazy, you know. But the key thing is just balance, see? So, you know, as we're saying, that, in fact, Frank Bruno, listening right now, we do have events, and the president will be more than welcome, right? On the 23rd of March, that's Saturday, we will be at St. Anne's Library, which is on Cissbury Road, that's Tottenham. The event, The Truth About Mental Health, and we're exploring what is mental health. Why do so many black men find it difficult to discuss their problem? See? And we will look at concrete solution to identify the problem. Again, this is a free event, and the time is from 4 to 8. For more information, please contact me on this number, which is 0788-240-3871. I repeat, 0788-240-3871. Excuse me. If everybody knows Frank Bruno, tell him to come down. It'd be nice to see Frank at one of these events here, just to share his experience among the community. See? So at St. Anne's Library, that's on the 23rd of March. Time again is from 4 to 8. See? And it's a free event. So we're just playing little clips of Frank Bruno. Earlier on, we had Omawale talking about, in fact, he's got 3 books, but I'm talking about one particular book. And to me, everybody should have that book in their home. You know, it should be on your collection. See, because it's really in depth, some information what you will never get nowhere else, you know, because I'm quite overwhelmed with kind of information what you share with us. And in fact, when the women them just beat up the man, them, not anybody, just bad them up. Can you imagine the man just these men are criminals, raping our mothers, you know, refusing to get away, and the woman said, the plan for them and just deal with them, you know. And there's cases where, like as the brother said, that, you know, we had to discipline some of these people, them, you know, when they are going to follow, you know, we don't go nowhere. I don't understand this, right? I never know, but someone could prove this to me. I'm wondering, has there been a history where we've gone out and conquer other race of people? Just go out and just other race of people and just bud them up and rip off their women, and I don't know if you could put I've never known that for us to do them kind of something there. I mean, go there and just murder people and rip off people and butt up people and you know.
Yeah, I think sadly all people have behaved in bad ways at some time. So there will be. I can't think of any off the top of my head. There will be examples of, a rogue group of African people somewhere.
Well, going to another country and.
The time that we're talking about would have been tribal. So it wouldn't have been so much other countries. It would have been neighboring tribes.
Neighboring tribes. I'm talking about.
I mean, I've read
European people or whatever.
Yeah. No. But what I've read, I've seen examples of treaties, for instance.
Right.
Wars between the Yorubas and the people of Benin, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah. Where the Yorubas were victorious. And then at the end there are treaties that have to be signed so that the war, so that the fighting stops. And it goes down into detail. And so, the victorious group then demands a certain number of virgins from the group that they defeated. Yeah. In that kind of detail. And I suppose what that does is it combines the two sets of people. Because the children that come out of those unions, if you like, belong to, in a sense, to both groups. And so maybe that's one of the methods that they had for. I'm not saying it's a good method. I'm just saying maybe it's one of the methods. That they had for, joining previously feuding tribes. So there are examples. There are examples. But I don't think it's typical of us to behave in that way. You see, it's very different when it comes to Europeans, for instance. I mean, Europeans. Let's think of the British in particular. They're just one branch of Europeans, but the British, they left this land. They went to the Americas. They wiped out virtually a whole set of people in the Americas and stole their lands. Yeah. Now that's a massive genocide. There are hardly any American Indians left now. They wiped them out so badly. We can't even say that was an accident because they did the same thing. They left here. They went to Australia. They virtually wiped out the Aborigines from the face of the earth. It's unbelievable that they could do such a thing, but they did. And, two is bad enough. But then on top of that, they went to Africa. After they'd done virtually wipe out the American Indians, they then committed great holocaust against us as African people to go and populate the land that they've just emptied, more or less, by killing off the people. And in order to populate the land that they just emptied, they're killing us off in the process and enslaving us and all the rest of it. So we don't have a history like that, for instance.
That's right.
I mean, that's unique in its wickedness. You understand? That's just unique in its wickedness, So we don't have that kind of a history. And frankly, I don't think anyone outside of Europe has that kind of a history. I'm not saying that other people haven't done bad things.
I understand what you're saying.
That magnitude is they're just in a class by themselves. You understand? So, I'm sure we've done our share of badness, but nowhere near. Nowhere near. What these wicked people here have done.
Right. Okay. I just want to bring it around to the other thing about the mental, because you discussed one of the things that contribute towards mental health is the hard drugs, the crack cocaine, and and them something there, right? The question would be now, right? What do you think we can do? What do you think is the way forward? I mean, our beautiful princess was saying that one thing is that, well, she did start by saying, love and care and raising the vibration, right? And somebody phoned in and talk about kind of writing that as well. But what I'm looking here is then saying to myself, well, how can we deal with, you know, situations where the hard drug is really rampant in our community? I mean, what can we do? I mean, it's quite a bit of a vague question to throw at you like that. Well, I mean, in terms of as we're reasoning now, what do you think is the way forward, or what do you think we should be doing just to?
I hear you. Well, I think the first thing to recognise is that we are not the first to be, you know, talking about this kind of subject. We have ancestors who have had to deal with this subject long before us. Yeah, and one name that comes to mind, today being the 20th of February now, the 21st of February 1965 was the day that the great Malcolm X was assassinated. So we're approaching the anniversary
of
the assassination of Malcolm X. And Malcolm X is one of those people who dealt with this subject before us. If you read the book Malcolm X by Any Means Necessary, in there you have a number of speeches by Malcolm X. And one of the things that he says is that the minute you try to solve the drug problem in our community, you come face to face with the police. Because the police are the ones who control or manage the drug economy. So he said that, you know, in order to solve the drug problem, we must solve the police problem. Because it's them bring it come.
Them bring it come, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm not saying this lightly. Yeah. You know, not far from here is Stoke Newington. Stoke Newington was the drugs den, the police drugs den. Yeah. I mean, there was a police officer by the name of Roy Lewandowski. Yeah. Polish surname, Roy Lewandowski. Remember his name, PC Roy Lewandowski. And he was managing a crack house on the Pembury estate over there in Hackney. And what happened was he was going to arrest an African woman by the name of, what's her name? Pearl Cameron. That's her name, Pearl Cameron. And he decided not to arrest her, but to give her a deal that she run a crack house for him. Yeah, and then he won't arrest her. Yeah. So she took the deal, obviously under great pressure.
Yeah.
And her house became a crack selling point. And he would just come along and take his money. You know, so she would sell the crack for him, and she used to sell it through her bedroom window. So people used to come to you know, around where the grass side of the thing is, knock on her window. She would open up, they'd pay her, she'd give them the crack, all supplied by police. This is proven. If you read the book called Bent Coppers, yeah, it's written by a guy called McLegan. I can't remember his first name now. McLegan is his surname. Yeah, and the book is called Bent Coppers. In there, it gives you verse by verse of what this policeman actually did. Yeah. So that was at a time when Stoke Newington Police Station was just a whole heap of drugs thing. We're talking about mental health. When you have a shotgun put to your head and a hole blown through your skull, yeah, as happened to Colin Roach in Stoke Newington Police Station. Yeah. I mean, you must have mental health. You understand? You know, it's compulsory. You understand? And so it was at that period that they turned Stoke Newington into a drugs den. Yeah. Another one from there was PC Ronald Palumbo. Palumbo was caught white-handed driving an articulated lorry full of weed into Britain. Yeah, articulated lorry, just full. Yeah. You know, they talk about mules, and they say how these women are going around and they're stuffing it here and stuffing it there and all those kind of things and try to make out that that's smuggling. That's got nothing to do with it. The police are driving it in. Yeah? They're driving it in articulated lorries. Yeah? That's how it gets into the country. Not one desperate sister put a little something here, a little something there about she's smuggling a little something into the country. His name is PC Donald. That's it. Donald Palumbo is his name. Yeah, and he got 10 years in prison. And when they catch him, he said that was his 4th trip. That he'd been driving articulated lorry loads into the country. He used to go down to Spain, pick it up from Spain, and drive it into the country. I don't know who he upset. You understand? So he upset him. He must have upset somebody in his police chain. You understand? So they said, make him go to prison. You know? And they sent him to prison for 10 years. You know? But the point is, it's the police that are managing the process. And so if you want a solution, you have to devise a plan to defeat the police. At the very least, you've got to devise a plan to expose them. Yeah? There's a book called, let me see, what's the name of the book? The name escapes me. It's written by Bernard Maynard and Philip Etienne. Yeah? They are 2 former police officers, Africans, who were in the police force. The name of the book will come back to me. I can't quite get the name out of my head, but Bernard Maynard and Philip Etienne are the authors. And they explain how it was their job to manage the mercenaries who were brought in. What Scotland Yard did is they went over to Jamaica and they got some of the baddest bad men that they could find out there. Yeah. And they brought them here, and their job was to introduce cocaine into our community. Those times in our community, people had weed. You understand? People, there were people around who would smoke their cannabis and those kind of things. But it wasn't anything more than that. You might find an odd person with some hashish or something. You understand? But basically, it didn't really go any further than weed in our community. So in order to create real crime in our community, because there wasn't real crime in our community, they got these bad men with records of raping and murdering women in Jamaica and all kind of things. They just went out and they paid them to come over here. Yeah. And their job was to introduce cocaine into our communities. And so Bernard Maynard and Philip Etienne, those 2 African police, their job was to chaperone the bad men them around, to take them to different clubs, like Dougie's, for instance. That used to be a popular club. And Shanolas and and those kind of places, popular clubs around the place. Prison, they used to call it that. All those clubs around, and then the South London ones, and to the various different places. Yeah. And so they took them around, showed them the ropes, and because they were undercover police, certain of us thought they were friends. You understand? Didn't know that they were actual police, and didn't know that they were introducing gunmen. And so they were going around introducing them, getting them known on the streets, and then let them loose. And they started to kill people. They started to do all kind of drugs. One of those men, he murdered a young sister. Her name is Marcia Laws. She was 23 years of age at the time. This is going back to the 1990s now. Yeah, she was 23 years of age. Yeah, this maniac stabbed the sister 23 times after raping her. Yeah, and murdered her in Brixton Hill. Yeah, whilst he was on the police payroll.
Wow.
Yeah, bringing drugs in and getting cocaine distributed around our community. Yeah, I mean, some serious things went on. Some very, very serious thing went on. And you see all of this when you're infested with drugs. That affects your mental health.
It does.
But when you're unsafe, when you're not sure who is going to jump out at you and whether they'll have gun or knife, etc., that adds to your mental ill health. That kind of stress. I'm going out to enjoy myself. All of a sudden, man, pull gun. You understand? That all adds to the mental ill health. You understand? These are tangible things that contribute to the mental well-being, bad being, of a people, and all of this was organized from the police. Now, to give you an idea of the how important it was for them to bring this extra stress into our community. When these bad men came over, one of the police admits to buying him a Golf GTI. You know, in those days, Golf GTI was the thing. You understand? We're talking about back in the 90s. That was a car. He said on the police credit card, he went and bought the man a Golf GTI for him to have a run round, he said. Yeah? They were involved in gun deals, the police, buying up guns. New Cross Gate Station, it's documented in his book, he went and bought a gun at New Cross Gate Station. The police write this in his book. Do you see
what you're saying? The police write this in his book?
Yes, the police write it in his book that he went and buy a gun at New Cross Gate Station. Yeah, it's in his book. Yeah, it's actually in his book. He admitted. What else? What else now? Now, they were put up in a hotel, one of the poshest hotels on Park Lane in Mayfair. Yeah? And then the bad man them start to complain. Yeah? They complain it wasn't good enough. Now you know when you go down Park Lane, that's the poshest hotels in the country, you know. Yeah? The bad man them complains not good enough. Yeah? You know what the police went and did? The police went and buy them a penthouse suite in Canary Wharf. Yeah. They actually bought them a penthouse suite. So that's the top one, you understand? With the view, you understand? So they can look at the damage that they're doing as well at the same time. Yeah? I mean, I'm going to write a book on this one as well. I tell you, yeah. I'm going to write a book on this one as well because they have done some terrible things to bring drugs into our community. And you see, when you bring drugs into our community, it mud up our people. Yeah. But the real reason that they do it is not just to mud up our people. It is when the people them are mud up. Yeah, the people are not in a position to properly defend themselves. You understand?
Yeah.
So when they mud us up now, they're mudding us up with the intention that we will not be able to defend ourselves from what else they're going to do to us. Yeah. The other thing that they know will happen is when they bring the drugs into the community, they know that the drugs themselves will be the source of war. Internal war in the community.
Internal war, that's right.
They know that it will cause us to get into a situation where we start pointing gun at each other, where we start use knife on each other, etc., etc. You know? And when you're living under that kind of stress, how can you not have mental health?
You
know? How can you not have mental health? It's I mean, we're talking some serious planning. In it was about 1990. I think it was actually 1990. This character called Paul Condon. Those of us that are, I didn't say condom, I said Condon. Yeah. Paul Condon. Yeah. He was, that character was the head of police at that time, for those of us that are old enough to actually remember. Yeah, and he made an announcement back then. He said, within 20 years, he said, the police will be armed. Yeah, well, that was all part of the plan. They planned to arm themselves. Yeah, because when they bring the gunman in, we haven't got crime in our community. We didn't have any significant crime in our community. But they bring the gunman in to bring the crime into our community. And they give them the guns to start shoot up people in our community. So when people getting shoot up now, even people that are not criminals are now going to look for gun because... no, but serious. Even people that are not criminals, they've got nothing to do with crime. But they get so frightened now, they must know somebody, you understand? So they go look for gun. They bury it in the garden or something, put it somewhere. If somebody come for them, they feel like they got something to defend themselves. I mean, it's that serious. It's that serious. Yeah? And so when... Everybody got gun now, you know. When you're a criminal, you got gun. When you're not criminal, you got gun. When you're a crackhead, you got gun. You understand? Crackhead with gun is a dangerous combination.